What's up, everybody? Weekly close just occurred yesterday. Way better than last week. Remember Sunday? We had that massive liquidation sell off. Well, guess what? Yesterday, Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, we had a little bit of a down day, but not too bad. We were mostly just consolidating. So at least there was no follow through with that major liquidation event. We did come back and retested some of the lows, but not too bad. I expect that to be, to start the bottoming process and just start to regain some traction. So, anyways, if you look at XRP right here, this was back in 2017. Okay, this was back in December. And you could see very clearly what happened over here. So we essentially had this big bull run, right? We had like a three-way pullback, and then we started coming back up, and then we had a big violent back test, right? It was actually a liquidity grab, and we took out some of those lows, and then we immediately bounced up, came back down, kind of went sideways, like a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, right? And then we started inching our way up, and then bam, we broke out. So I'm looking at this from a fractal perspective, and you can see them both basically, side by side, right? You can see that. And so we're currently hanging out right around there. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but it is what it is. So just comparing the two, right? Big impulse, kind of this three-way move down, right? You pop the high a little bit, and then you swing up, and then bam, violent back test, bam, violent back test, right? Taking the lows out, somewhat taking the lows out over here. And after that, we kind of curled up, curled back down. So if I had to imagine if it was going to play out a similar way, then we really expect this thing, this is exactly what we talked about. First of all, let me just show you right here, right? After we crashed, basically said we're most likely going to shoot up, which we did, and then we're going to start to cock back, which we're doing now, right? And then after the cocking back, we want to go sideways. So the big question is this the sideways that I want, that we've been looking for? And it appears to be, right? So we kind of, because normally you have a big sell-off, you have a big reaction, you come all the way back down, retesting 50% of that wick. So you take the wick, you cut it in half. That's usually where price likes to go to. And then we come all the way down, and then we start going sideways. But you can see we went down approximately about almost 20%. So we got about 19% pullback off of this big swing. So is that enough? I mean, we'll see. If I take a Fibonacci and I come here, you could see we had about a 50, not quite, but almost a 50% retrace, which is okay. I would have preferred the price to come down here and then go sideways and then start to round up. So my question is it finished, right? Well, we don't know, because we're kind of just going sideways in here, right? So what are the ideas? Well, if we go back to that fractal and we look a little bit closely, we can see actually it's on two different time frames, right? I mean, this is taking months, right? So we had December, so all of December, all of January, so that's 2 months, and then plus February. So we're looking at probably 2.5 plus months, maybe even 3 months, right? Versus back over here, it literally resolved itself in a couple days. So it was on a Thursday, and then we were out of there by, like, it took 1 week. Was it 1 week or 2 weeks? 1 or 2 weeks. So anyway, it doesn't really matter. But what we want to see here, you could see we kind of came back. So we came back. We want to, it's not going to be the same because this was like a 1 2 1 2 bam. This was more like a straight drop down, and then we came up. It was kind of like an A B C, like a weird looking running flat. Obviously this one's a little bit different, but essentially what we want to wait for is we want to go sideways a little bit more, and we want to start to round back into the retracement levels. And then once we do that, something like this, then we start to want to cock back a little bit, right? And then start to work your way out of there. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. That's what I'm looking for, something like that. Now, if we're not finished testing the lows, then I could look at this, for example, some kind of move here. Maybe we get a little bit a move here, a three-wave move, and then maybe back down for 3. So like a 1, and then we kind of drizzle down, much more selling, and then start to round out of there. So I just don't think it's finished yet. You could see volatility is slowing down. We've been confined in this little box here. So I'm waiting to see if we break up or we break down. So if we break up, that'll answer a question, right? And the question is well, where's it going to go if it breaks up? Well, it should come up and retest some of these retracement levels. For example, right here, you can see we actually came up to the 50. We pulled back in between the 236 and the 382. Not too bad. Kind of building a little bit of a platform here, but I want to start to see it come back up to 260, 263, 270. We'll just say 265. That's a good number. So right around that 265 area, and then from there see if we can break it. Or again, like I said, maybe we have to come up and tag it and then come back down and set another low for a 3-wave move. We'll look at the rest of the market and see if there's any indications of what we could expect, because like I said, when you have this big dump, it's going to take time to develop structure so that we can see. We want to get away from the scene of the crime. We want to establish a base. We want to create market structure. We want evidence of a low being in. And you can see right now we have a low, higher low, higher low. So we sort of have a rising trend line, and then we also have a downsloping trend line here. So it's kind of like a little bit of a pennant. I don't like them. They usually break down and then go back up, right? So what's probably better, let's see, if we do this and then we come down, I mean, it's really not there. I just don't see it yet. But the best thing to do instead of a pennant is simply just range bound, right? So if we could develop some kind of Wyckoff structure in here where we come up and hit the high, right? And then maybe we sweep down, curl, make a little bit of a U shape, come back up, and then continue higher. That's a classical Wyckoff. Now you could have a liquidity grab down here or whatever, but that's a Wyckoff scenario we could look for if we start to see something like that. If we start to come back up. If we start to come down, then I'm looking at this kind of like a little bear flag. Boom, 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 right? So I would just take a little bit of a measurement from a trend-based fib extension from the top of this wave to the bottom, come back up to the top. We're looking at 208. So if we can get down here to around 208, boom, 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 and that would be a good area for potential reversal. So yeah, I mean, it's still got a lot of work to do, to put it mildly. So I did put a very interesting video out yesterday, a full XRP presentation, and that video is right here. So if you want to go see it, it basically there's a lot of ranting in there about my opinions, right, uh, over Trump and the financial system and the great transition, because we don't live in a people system. We live in a central banking fiat currency scam, right? And we see all, US aid just came out with all the corruption over there. That's just the beginning. Wait until they audit the Pentagon. Wait until they audit, the government. Wait, the SEC. Wait until they audit the Federal Reserve, right? I mean, there's going to be. We thought it was bad with USAID, all the stupid stuff that they're, it's all scam, right? They send money overseas so that they can get kickbacks under the false labeling of USAID, right? So it's all fake. And that's not just USAID, but that's all over. I mean, there's so much corruption in the government. The government is way too big and it's so corrupt. That's why people don't like paying taxes, because they know their taxpayer money is going to go down the drain. That's why we need Doge. We need Elon Musk auditing and getting everything taken care of. And I think that's going to take time. But over the next 4 years, we're going to see some massive things come out, some big, huge changes, right? And I kind of talk about those and what my thoughts are as to what that might look like in regards to the money, right? Because that's what it's really about. It's about the money. It's about all the money. So we have the bonds, we have the derivatives, we have the payment rails in the banking system, we have the Federal Reserve, right? We have the Treasury, we have crypto, we have gold. All these things are sort of, in the same category. And it'll be interesting to see, because we do need a transition, right? We need a transition out of the old central banking corrupt fiat system that doesn't work. It's clunky, it's slow, it's expensive, it's fraudulent, it's ridiculous, right? So we need new systems. And what better way to do that than putting it on a ledger, putting it on a public ledger, a decentralized, right? And that's where I think maybe Ripple and XRP could play a major role in that situation. And, because people say, oh, $1,000 XRP, $500 XRP. There's no way you're going to get to $500. There's just not, unless you have a massive deal with, something that happens, right? Maybe it's putting the dollar on, or some type of treasury bills or some type of government bonds on the XRP ledger, or something where you have trillions and trillions of dollars flowing into the ledger, right? Maybe not directly with XRP, but something along those lines. But anyway, there's so many different ideas, so many different speculations, so many different conspiracies. We just, that's why I just stick to the charts, right? I got to stick to the technical levels. So if you want to know more about that, go check this video out. It's part 1 and part 2. So that's why it's a little bit longer. But basically, I go over all of that stuff, and also the price and things like that. So go check that out. So anyway, back to the chart. I am recovering a little bit. I took a little spill on a crash. I was going up a jump, and I cross-rutted, and my whole back end came out, and I landed basically sideways. And then I had a 260-pound bike fall on my ankle. Good thing I had boots on. I was hoping I didn't crack, hairline fracture, or even sprain it. It feels good today, but I actually wish I got it on camera. I didn't, but there's a jump here, and then it kind of goes down, and then you don't want to case it right here because you're on an up part. So then it goes sideways, and then it goes back down over here. So that's about 45 feet. It's a pretty big. So there's a rut on this side of the jump, and when I went, my back end was going sideways. And keep in mind, I'm not a professional. I'm just an average rider who enjoys it, and there's no better feeling than jumping. But man, good thing I had these boots on right here. You could see. So, anyways, I fell, and then I had my glasses on because usually I ride with my contacts, and the nose part of the glasses, that thing went almost into my eyebrow. I almost thought I had to get some stitches, but I put my glasses on and I saw blood on them. I'm like, what the heck? So I'm never doing that again. I probably want to get LASIK at some point. But anyway, that's pretty much how my Super Bowl Sunday went. Basically just, hanging out and doing a little bit of riding. That's why I love my electric dirt bike, so I don't have to worry about other people, right? Complaining and stuff like that. So I could just basically get on the bike and go wherever I want, because there's a lot of different dirt lots across the street from me. I don't have to load it in the truck and go wherever. So that's why I love the Stark Varg. I mean, this thing is the best dirt bike I ever had, and I'm used to Yamahas, but man, this thing was great. And I'm a little bummed I scratched it a little bit, but it's just plastic. Yeah, so you could kind of see these ruts right here. So if your tire's not perfectly in that rut, a lot of times what happens is your tire will come out of it and it'll get cross rutted, and it'll swing the back of the bike over. This is actually a different jump. So you can kind of see my back end kind of floating a little bit. But yeah, anyways, that's kind of how it went. Let me know, what do you think about the Super Bowl, man? The Chiefs got smoked. I only watched the second half. I'm not really a football. I mean, I like it. It's okay, but it's whatever to me. If there's any game, it'd probably just be one game, which would be the Super Bowl. But yeah, it was a boring game. I mean, I like games that are like close. They weren't even in the game. The Chiefs were so bad, it was embarrassing how terrible they were. And it just wasn't even a game, it was just like, it was kind of ridiculous. So it wasn't that cool. And the halftime show, I appreciated the red, white, and blue and all that stuff. The symbology is not all satanic like it was last time. But the performance actually was terrible, I thought. I did not couldn't understand what the guy was saying. I mean, I like Kendrick Lamar. I like that one song he put out years ago, but that was about it. Don't Kill My Vibe. That's like the only song I know, and that's the only song. He didn't even play that song, I think. So anyway, what a massive disappointment. But, it is what it is. I didn't recall any crypto commercials, although I didn't see the whole game, but a lot of interesting commercials I heard. So, all right, let's keep moving forward. So if we go back, here's the fun part right here. Ready? So if we go back and we look at this, we could see we basically recovered and we continued higher. And Blockchain Backer has shared this fractal before, and basically he has a few examples. So what we can see after that is actually very remarkable, very beautiful wave structure. So if you look, follow me here, we have this impulse, three-way pullback. We had a 1-2, right? And then we had another one, a violent backtest 2, right? And then we went up into the third wave. So basically what we have here is a 1-2, 1-2, right? And then we went into 3, 4, and then 5. It was perfect. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had a 5-wave move, basically ending the bull market. And that was back in January of 2018. And then since then, XRP has been basically going sideways after 2018, right? So you had 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That's 7 years we've been consolidating in a massive base. And currently, you see this line right here? That's where the price is right now, 243. So here is the actual all-time high right there. And we still haven't completely obliterated it yet with price discovery. But I believe it is coming very soon. So I thought it'd be interesting. First of all, let's take a measurement of this move and let's measure it and see exactly where we came to. So this is also what I'm about to do is exactly what I'm going to do with the current price so that we can get a much accurate target. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a regular Fibonacci retracement, and I'm going to take it from the top all the way down to the bottom. And you can see we completely nailed the 4.236 extension perfectly, right? Or we actually went above it by kind of a lot, actually. Let's see, 310. I want to get the exact measurement when we crossed above it. Nah, not that bad. About 7% above it. Okay, so that's one way we can measure it. The other way we can measure it is by taking a trend-based fib extension from, let's do the bottom of this 1-2 to the top, and then back down to the bottom, right? And we should get something similar. Look at that. We perfectly see this was much more accurate. Look at that. We almost hit that 2.414. I bet if I adjust it just a little bit, we would hit it. Let me see. Let me make it a little bit better. There we go. Look at that. See, that's why I like trend-based fib extensions better than regular Fibonacci retracements, right? So that's what BCB likes to use on the bigger time frame, and you get a general target. But what I like to do is I like to take the individual waves and measure them. So if you look here, what happened is pay attention to the third wave. We take the retracement back down, and then we came all the way up to the 2, okay? So we hit $2.51. Perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it from the top here down to the bottom, and I'm actually going to use the bottom of that wave, okay? And you can see we didn't even, after that wave, we didn't even break out. It was pretty much game over, right? So what I would do is I would actually bring it, I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but essentially putting it right there, because this is the first wave here, right? I mean, you could do it there, and it's basically the same. Look at that. We almost hit the 702, okay? So that was the fifth wave, right? So we're measuring the individual waves, all right? So now if we go back and we look at XRP in today's time frame, and we expand that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing, right? And this is how we're going to do it. So if we get a wave, if this is like a wave, you see it can't even be a 1. Let me see here. So where'd it go? Okay. So this could be a 1-2-1-2, right? But the problem is this can't be a 1-2 anymore because we took the low out here. We completely took the low out. So we don't even have a 1-2 yet. We don't. So we could look at this like a wave 1, right? So 1, 2, right? And then we go up for a 3. So we measure the 1 from the bottom to the top, and then we measure the 2. That way we can get an accurate third target. And then once the third target is in, we'll measure the bottom of the third to the top of the third to the bottom of the fourth so that we can get an accurate fifth wave target. And if you want, more accuracy, we got to give it time. We got to measure individual waves. So, and I definitely will be going over that on the members video when we get to that moment. So if you want to check that out, you can. So essentially, the only measurement we can use is a regular Fibonacci. So if I take it from the top here all the way down to the bottom, you could see what we did, we went 7% above the 4.236, which comes in about $9. So there you go. So a $9 target. So from where we are now, that's not even 300%, right? So you're looking at another 2.5x from where we are. And that's pretty much all XRP will have is another 2.5x. So maybe up to 3x. Now, there could be a situation where there's some announcement, like we could get an XRP ETF, we could, getting approved. We also have the regulations coming. And then also, don't forget, we still have the lawsuit, right? Because the lawsuit technically, remember, they appealed it, but they could still drop it. So if we get the lawsuit dropped and we get an XRP ETF, we could see this thing explode to the upside. Now, if we don't have any of those things, let's say we get up here and then we get the ETF and then we get the lawsuit dropped. Well, maybe we can flag out and go much higher for one more wave to the upside, right? Because again, this could be, we could have, for example, like a 1-2-1-2, which means we could maybe get a 4-5-4-5. So 1-2, 1-2, we go for the third, 4, and then 5, and then maybe another 4, and then a 5. And then you get that divergence, you get that 3 drives to the high, come back, get a bit of a retrace, right? And then basically lights out from there until you get a bigger retrace later on. So I'm thinking something along those lines wouldn't be such a bad idea. Because again, I think this fourth wave is pretty much complete, because you can see we have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and this is an expanded flat. So everything looks pretty good so far. The only thing we can do, like if we measure this from the bottom to the top, back down to the bottom, if that is the bottom, remember where it went. It went up to the 2. Well, where's the 2? It's at $6.40. So there's another target we can pay attention to. So if we go back and we take a trend-based fib extension from the bottom of this wave up to the top, back down to the bottom, this also hit the 2 at $2.48 right there. So 1, 2, and then that gave us the extension for that wave. So if this is 1, 2, we should get another extension, or we should get this extension for this wave. And if it's going to be the same fib level, we could see $6.40. So, it's not that much of a percent, because once you get up to $2 to $3, and then you talk about $7, $8, you think, whoa, that's a big jump, because that's many more dollars, right? But it's actually, in percentage terms, not that much. It's only a 2x, right? So if you're at $3 and then you go to $6, that's only a double, right? So that's why I am still lurking for a rotation, because I want to rotate into something that I know has much more percentage value, right? So anyways, there it is. And, this, from basically measuring this wave here, the 4.236 is at $20. Let me see the other one here. So if I make this bigger and we look very closely here, where did the all-time high go based off that extension alone? So that extension alone gave us the 2618 almost perfectly. Okay, the 2618. Okay, so now let's go back, and where is the 2618? Well, guess what? It's almost that $9 mark. So there's a lot of confluence at $9. So, maybe we get 10, maybe we get 12, maybe we get 750, maybe we get 850. It's going to be interesting to see. But again, if I go from here to 8, it's okay. But if I go from here to 9, it's not that much of a difference, right? So that's why I'm going to be starting to scale out once we hit, $6. I'm going to start scaling out of XRP. Not my hodl, not my long-term hodl position. I'm not going to sell that. That's basically my retirement. I'm just going to hold it for whatever. I got a good stack, and I'm just going to keep it on the wallet. No, for my XRP that I'm going to liquidate is going to be my trade on the exchange that I use. So yeah, it's already in major profit. So I want to scale out of that and get something else. Now, what could I get other than XRP? Well, if we look closely here, and let's go back to this chart, and we'll expand it. And what we're going to do before we talk about that is let's take a little bit of a fractal here. And let's just draw it right about there. And you can see I have to stretch it out quite significantly just for it to fit in here, because they're two different structure, or they're two different time frames. So it's not really a good match when you match it up completely, but it's still the same structure, right? Which is the breakout, the back test, and things like that. But just by judging, if I can get this thing, I'm just trying to get the top of it to sort of match the bottom, somewhere right about there. And you could see the height of that is about $12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so somewhere around there. So, all right. Now, let's zoom out and let's take everything off the screen, and let's just say, okay, so now here's the all-time high right there, and we're about to break out and go into price discovery. So, remember, this is not financial advice. This could be totally wrong. Maybe we're in a big bear market for the next 25 years. Who knows? But at the end of the day, what I'm looking for is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm looking for a breakout. And then in the middle of this breakout, I want to rotate into something else that could offer me more gains than XRP, right? Now, maybe there's some big announcement or something that catapults XRP to $20. But even then, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't sell my complete hodl position. But you just never know, and I can't base that off of maybe not. So I have to act quickly when this happens. So what I want to see first is I want to see XRP start to push higher. Once we start to push higher, then I'm going to look at the rest of the market to see exactly what's going on over here. Because if you look at H-bar, right, is H-bar breaking out by then? Is that a good coin to dollar cost average? Well, if we take a Fibonacci retracement from here, you're looking at a 4.236, 222, right? And that's a little bit better. That's about almost a 9x or so, maybe an 8x. So that's pretty good. We also have maybe even something like Jupiter. I wouldn't do that much. I'd do a little bit. I like the way it's consolidating very tightly in here. It gives me reminiscence of coins that barely started off. They went sideways. People forgot about them, and then they explode to the upside. I'm not endorsing this one quite yet. There's still a lot of proof that I need that this thing's going to do well. But I'm also looking at something that's gotten beat up massively, like Filecoin. Filecoin would be one I would have no problem rotating. Now, you do see this big nasty head and shoulders here, and we got to be aware of that. It could still break down and make a new low, right? There's a very real threat there. However, let's see. We do have bullish divergence on the weekly chart of all things, right? So we have low, and then we have this higher low here in the RSI. So just same thing here, low, lower low, low. Well, actually, no, there was no divergence there. But we do have bullish divergence. So yeah, I'm looking for Filecoin to start to start to wake up, because okay, so if you look at, you know, the biggest percentage we can get from XRP, you know, let's say it goes up to, you know, I'm thinking more like 8 or 9, but let's say we get up to 10 to 13. So if we get up, I'll just say 11. So 350%. So I need to find something that gives me more than 350% by a factor of at least 2, right? So I'm looking at maybe, you know, almost 700, 800%, you know, to make it worth my while. So let's go down to Filecoin and let's go up 800%, and let's see where that takes us, and let's see if it's doable, or if it makes sense, or if it doesn't. So if I go from here, see, the problem is we don't know exactly where Filecoin will be once I make that rotation. But if I were to do it today, and I went up 700%, or let's go first to 350. So that brings me at $15 for Filecoin. And that only takes me right here, right? So it's not that much, right? It's basically going back to the top of the range. So you have the top of the range and the bottom of the range. And we're basically going sideways in here, right, until we break out. So if I go up further, up to 700% or even 800%, that's still definitely in the realm of possibility, because we haven't even made it to the retracement level. So we have a crash, and then we have that first retracement, and then we have 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a lot of times coins like to retrace back up to their wave 2s, and that would be somewhere around there, which actually brings us up to, you know, almost 2,000%. So it's way more than XRP. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be very, very, very difficult for Filecoin to do that. You know, that's why I have to make the switch. You know, I have to be smart about it. So, and you never do the whole thing. You always want to kind of dollar cost average. So if let's say you have $10,000 worth of XRP, maybe just throw 500 or a grand, right? Not financial advice. Don't do that. Into Filecoin at a specific time. And then if it's continuing, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit more. And then you slowly scale out, you know. But I'm not going to just pick one coin. I'm looking also at, like, for example, THETA, and we're going to look at that. But just to look at Filecoin real quick, it's got a nice 3-way pullback here. So we kind of have, you know, this could be somewhat of a Wyckoff thing here, where we come up, we swoop down, there's 3, and then we come down in 3, and then we start to round back up, play around, and then go. That could be some kind of Wyckoff pattern here. And then we also, I got to remember to look at the sequential, but we almost landed on a 9 the other day. Oh, look at that, guys. We are in a 2-day 9 buy, and we are breaking above the red dots. That is a good sign. I'd like to see this be a green 1, a green 2. We have a red 1. So we have a 9 buy, which printed these red dots right there. And we have this candle trying to break above the red dots. And if we close above the red dots, then it basically activates the 9. It activates the sequential count. So we'll have to see how that plays. I remember my previous video, we were looking at some 9s and stuff. So yeah, Filecoin looks really good. You know, it doesn't mean it's going to go to outer space, but it basically means let's get a little bit of a base, and I want to see a retrace. So how high of a retrace are we talking here? Well, if we could just get back to this common area, that's around 67%. That's not bad at all. So that's kind of what I'd love to see, to be quite honest. Very, very, very interesting. Okay. So yeah, Filecoin, we got this three-wave move to the downside. The question is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or is it 3 and finished? And then we have this, you can see here's your bottom here, right? And then we came all the way down. We had a big liquidity grab. Basically, what's happening here is this crash was not warranted, right? It was just too much, and buyers took advantage of it, like myself. Because first of all, we didn't even come down and test it as support. We kind of did, and we just fell right through like a rock. So that told me it's most likely, too exuberant, right? So now we're just seeing that snap back to reality. All right. So let's look at another coin. Another coin I wouldn't mind, rotating into a little bit here would be Matic. And you can see also Matic is also on a 2-day 9. Let's see. Let's go up to the 4-day here. 4 days on a 7. What is the 3-day? Let me add that one to my favorite. Should be okay, we're also on a 7. But I know like the weekly. Oh my goodness. We are on a weekly 9 buy. That's right. I remember now. So this is a major deal, guys. So we are on a weekly 9 buy, okay? So that's pretty critical. Now you can say, well, we had a 9 buy here, it went down. We had a 9 buy here and it went down. That is true, right? So we have to figure out, well, where is this 9, right? Now you can see this 9 over here. We had a 9 buy, we went up, right? But if I'm looking at this chart, I see 3 down, I see 3 up, and then I also see 3 back down. Now this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So A, B, C. We have 5 waves in C. Did the 5th, but we didn't take the low here. But it could be truncated. So we have to keep that in mind. Did it take the low? Let me see. Oh, it did take the low. Okay, so yeah, that's 5 waves, guys. So we have 3 down, 3 up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. And then plus, we have a 9 on the weekly. So not only do we have a 5-wave move, right? Because remember, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5-wave move, plus we have a 9 on the weekly, plus the 5-wave move is in a C wave. So this is a good area. In my opinion, I could be wrong, and we could have more downside, but I think this is a spot. It doesn't happen right away. When you get the 9s, like look at this 9 over here. You got a little bit of a 9. It took 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks just to pop, and then obviously it came back down, right? But this 9 is in a much better spot. So you kind of want to develop a little bit of a base, maybe a couple weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then start to continue higher, or maybe even reverse on a dime. We'll see how that plays out. But if we zoom in on Polygon, it actually looks pretty decent. It's kind of breaking out a little bit. Let me see if I have my other chart here. It's a little bit cleaner. Right there. Okay, so you're actually on a 9 on the 30-minute chart. So yeah, we're just kind of consolidating here. We had this big dump, a big pump, and then we came in. Now we're starting to round out. Let's develop a base. Maybe we have to hit the low, but it really depends. We'll take a look at Bitcoin, but essentially, we're range bound, and it's just like XRP. Is this A, B, C, and then go, or is the A, B, C finish, and now we're basing, and then we can start to head up? Because I do expect upside to come, especially with that violent sell-off we just had not too long ago. But yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of a pump here, and I like that. I actually was doing a little bit of a trade earlier, and I got in at 3102. I'm up about 5%, not too bad, but definitely could do way better, right? So entry's okay. Another thing too is, the way it looks to me is how you have a big drop, you come up, and now you're flagging out. So you have that big pump, and now you're flagging out. So maybe we can come back down and hit the low, come back up, maybe even hit the low again. maybe drizzle around. There's so many possibilities. The point is what is it going to do after it's all said and done? And I think that is upside. But we just don't have clear structure yet to say, yeah, we're going to go for it. The best way to do it is to kind of draw a little bit of a downward resistance line here, and you can start to see we're poking out. If we could poke out of here, and you can see there's retracement levels in here, and then we can flag out in here, right? And then start to round. We want to see a round bottom in here, and then start to take off. Then that's going to be evidence, right, of further continuation. So I like the bottom, and I like the double bottom here versus a bottom and then a higher lower low. Now we have a low and a higher low. So we could start to see the structure changing ever so slightly. All right. Another coin I wouldn't mind is Monero. Monero looks phenomenal, guys, from a zoomed out perspective. Even right now, it's actually looking pretty good. You can kind of see it rounding out here. It's challenging the highs. It looks very strong to me. Monero looks like it has a lot of strength, a lot of pent-up demand. And yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. Now, there is a bearish side to Monero, right? And that's on the zoomed in stuff. But again, on the zoomed out stuff, it actually is very bullish because of the structure we see, right? Which is a big rise, crash, retrace. We come down into reaccumulation. We go sideways in here. And now look at this. We broke out and we're back testing. And that's exactly where XRP is. So XRP is actually right here, and it did a flat, and it's back testing as well. So if XRP is going to go, maybe Monero can as well. But yeah, to me, it even looks like the flat could be finished, right? Because you have this sort of flat pattern in here. It's a nice running flat. That's one of my favorite patterns, is a running flat. Super bullish. But you could see, we came up here, we tagged a 9, we came back down, we came up again, we tagged the 9. So we have a 9 sell here, right? So we expect a 1 to 4 candle correction and then a continuation, or whatever, right? So 8-hour chart looks good. Yeah, and I like Monero because look at this. You have a big 3-way pullback here, right? So essentially what we have, guys, is look at this. So we have 3, come on now. We have 3 down, we have 3 up, and then we have 1, 2, right? So we have 1 there and then a 3-wave there. So 1, 2, 3, and the third is a 3-way pullback. Now look at this. We're impulsing like crazy. Well, maybe not crazy, but we're impulsing pretty nicely. Look at the difference, guys, between something like Monero and something like Polygon. Look at the difference. Monero is just pumping, right? Let's look at Chainlink. Chainlink is kind of like coming down. It's curling around, creating a little bit of a base. It looks bullish. It looks like it wants to come up, right? So I'm excited. Litecoin actually was consolidating, and it actually broke the top. So now we have a 3-way move here, right? So boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to talk faster because I'm already at 48 minutes here. All right. So if you look at Monero, Monero has just basically been going up, and I really enjoyed that. So let's see if we zoom in a little bit more. I wouldn't get too excited yet. Definitely got a lot of resistance right here. So probably the best thing for Monero from a health perspective is maybe just kind of flag out in here a little bit. Cock back, like you're cocking back the gun, and then bam, you shoot it off. So you get that little rounded move here, because eventually, you come down here, you come up, you get exhausted, you come back down, you come back up, you get exhausted, right? So instead of crashing, we want to flag out. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I'd love to see it flag out a little bit. You can kind of see here, we have 3, and then we also have 3. So let's see if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. if we could get an ABC pullback down here and retest some of this at around 218 or so, I definitely would love to pick up some more Monero, because I did unfortunately have to let a lot go. Probably I got rid of 30% on this crash here, or was it this one? I think it was this one here. I had to let go 30% because I just didn't know, like it was crashing too much. And then I saw the 9, I got back in a little bit, but then it happened again, and I think I let go a little bit more. So, but I was able to get, a lot of it back. So, it's just basically like protecting my position, right? For any risk, because you just never know, right? So Chainlink actually looks pretty bullish right now. Chainlink looks like it's about to break out, guys. It looks bullish to me. Let's see, do we have bullish divergence? No, not on that time frame. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I see, this is exactly what we like. We comes up here, we come down, and then we come all the way down, and then we go sideways down here, right? So then you have that cup looking thing, and we want to build up. So this is actually a good spot for me to dollar cost average. So let's see if this is like an ABC, and then we can break out. Maybe we get 3 up, and then we get 3 down, and then we go up, or something along those lines. We got some strong resistance here. So I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback maybe if we're trading in on the smaller time frames. But what else could be a good thing to rotate into? Well, let's go to THETA now. Okay, so THETA actually looks really good because it's actually been, somewhat moving up here. You can see this time here we've been moving up. Now compare that. Let's look at AVAX for a minute. See, AVAX, it's a little bit smaller. Axelar looks actually really good here. Kind of like a little bit of inverse head and shoulders. It's kind of cocking back in here. I would like to see it maybe pop the high a little bit. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of fake outs. There's going to be a lot of shenanigans. Remember, this is a bottoming process, so we're building a base in here. So it's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be ups. But until we can fully break out, we want to see this high taken first. Let me look at Bitcoin, and then we'll circle back to THETA. So Bitcoin looks okay. Nothing too spectacular. We're kind of flagging out in here, which is nice. Maybe like a 1, 2, 3, a 4. Maybe we get a 5, then an ABC, then a continuation. But yeah, as long as Bitcoin just remains steady, then it helps a lot, right? So we have this impulse, a 3-way pullback, another little impulse, kind of flagging out in here. So we kind of want to see it come back here, maybe back down, just basically filling in the dots, ranging, right, until we figure out exactly what it's going to do. It could come up and take the high before the bear market, because I do think the bear market is close for Bitcoin because of the distribution it looks like it's in. Or we're going to get one more wave to the upside. If we look, we only have 4 waves. Now you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and it's finished, or you could say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get 4 and then another 5 because we had that 1, 2 in there. And then that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm looking at 115 to 120 K. So 115,000 to 120,000, that would be a good top for Bitcoin. I just don't see it really just breaking below the range unless we're going to have a bigger ABC and then kind of come up and reach the top. But yeah, we'll talk about it. All right, let's go back. Let's look at some charts here. What about Aave? Aave looks okay. Yeah, it kind of looks a little bit like it needs to come down here. All right, let's go back to THETA. So you can see THETA, you can see we had a big pop here, pretty big pop. But then granted, remember, I said that, look at the wick here and look where the price came, right? What do I usually say? Basically, when you have a big violent sell-off and then a wick, the price likes to come and drizzle, 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 drizzle all the way down and retest this wick 50%. So we got it, right? We basically nailed it. So now this is probably a good spot. So I'd like to see it kind of, since we have that impulse back to the top here, now we want to see it kind of cock back a little bit, get that little inverse head and shoulders shape going on, and then start to make your way back up and then create that base at the low. So you have the crash, the automatic rally, and then the drizzle, 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 the bottom, the liquidity grab, and then you start to create that base and then continue. So that's kind of how I envision it. So if I wanted to rotate into theta, how would I do that? Well, theta still has a lot of room because it's only $1.38, right? Versus XRP, it's much more expensive. But just to get back to the retrace level at $8, you're looking at almost 500% or so. Almost 500%, right? So that's still a good 5x compared to 2.5x. Now, if XRP breaks out before theta breaks, so that's what I want to see happen. I want to see XRP, go beyond $5 before theta breaks this line. That way I can rotate a high valued XRP into a low valued theta, right? So, and what you can do too is I can look at XRP versus theta. Okay. And I don't usually share this chart, but look at this, guys. Look at this. This is XRP versus theta, okay? So you could see a big impulse and an ABC here. We have a three-way pullback. The question is it finished? I don't think it is. It looks to me like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get a 4 and then a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll flush the low and then go up. Now, I think it could happen much quicker than that. Now, it could be over. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, an extended fifth. Let's turn on the sequential. I bet you got a lot of sequential here. Look at that on the weekly. I bet on the, oh, yep, there it is. The 2-week chart. We're on a 2-week 9 buy with a bullish hammer candle on theta. So I don't know. Maybe I should rotate a little bit more XRP into theta. What do you guys think? Right? It's all about percentages, guys. It doesn't matter about the coin. It's all about money. It's about percentages. So, but don't get me wrong. This thing could drop a little bit lower. You know what I mean? So, especially since XRP is so close. Let's go back. XRP is so close to its breakout level, right? So if we look a little bit closer, you can see just how close it is, right? And if we get that big pop, then either the XRP versus theta chart is going to drop or it's going to go sideways, because if we get a big pump, you would also expect theta to get somewhat of a pump. The question is, which one's going to be more aggressive, right? So I have to keep monitoring it closely, and hopefully in the next members video, we'll talk more about that and exactly how that strategy is going to take place, because it's all about getting the most percentages possible. Another coin too is really interesting is ADA, right? So ADA, let's go to the weekly here. If you can hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it. We had a nice base right down here, a nice impulse, a 3-way pullback, right? And we're sort of consolidating here, looking for a continuation higher. Let's see. Look at the daily, guys. The daily, we're on a daily 9 buy. All right. So I'm sure we have some divergence in there a little bit. Maybe not too much. But yeah, definitely oversold on the daily. Plus, we have a daily 9 buy. Plus, we have a 3-way pullback. Plus, we had following that liquidation event, right? So I think these are really good prices for buying the dip. And I don't say that lightly. You know, it takes a lot for me to say that, but that's not financial advice. But I'm just saying, for me, these are really good prices for me to buy the dip and to dollar cost average based off everything I've seen, right? Now, the question is, when we go back up, is it going to be 3 up and then a continuation down? Or is it going to be 5 up with a 3-way pullback and a continuation up? That's what we don't know. That's what we're going to look for. But that's why I buy low. So if we get up here and it doesn't look right, I can get out still at a profit. So same thing with H bar. Did H bar get a 9? Not quite. It was close. So Jupiter also landed on a 9. Not too bad, right? So another one before we go was Ethereum. So Ethereum landed on a 4-day 9. I remember now. So we had a 4-day 9 buy, and it was a perfected 9. It was below it. So now we have this new candle opened. So it'll be interesting to see. You can see here we had a 9 sell, pull back, right? And then we had another 9 sell. Both the 9 sells called the top perfectly. So we have a 3-way pullback back into this support zone on a 9. Let's see if we can hold that support and then continue higher. What's up with Trump coin? That's a tough one because it's kind of, you know, it could drizzle down, and you go, okay, the bottom's here, but it could keep drizzling and drizzling down before it just goes completely crazy. We just don't know, you know, because there's no price history. So it's kind of like, you know, the best way to approach that is either don't or just get like a spot position and you know, hold it lightly. Yeah, because we don't even have bullish divergence yet. Let's see. On the 4-hour, we have pretty strong divergence, bullish divergence there on the 4-hour. This could be like a Wyckoff here. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But anyways, guys, that should do it for this video. Everything looks okay. I forgot to talk about Litecoin, though. I just briefly did. Litecoin looks like it's booking it, man. Look at this. Litecoin looks pretty nice right now. So, yeah. I mean, look at Litecoin. So if we take a Fibonacci and let's see where we are. So we go all the way up, right? Then we come back down. You can see we're right at the 618. So I'd like to see a 1-to-1 extension at least at 133, right? So I don't, you know, the problem though is, you know, now that it printed that, now it looks like a 3-way pullback, right? So you basically have 3 waves, right? So this needs to come down to a 4 and then a 5, and then we flag out for an ABC, and then we go higher. So a 1 and a 2. That would be the most bullish case scenario, right? The other is you got 3 down, you got 3 up, and then you have 3 back down. So you have a beautiful 3-way move, and then you have also a 3 here. Maybe we get 3 back down, and then we go up for 5. So 3, 3, 5, just like we had 3, 3, 3, right? And that could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 later. So it all in all, it looks pretty good, you know. And then what about Algorand? Algorand is kind of sitting tight, you know, very low volatility, just kind of flatline, not sure what it wants to do. Usually when that happens, it probably has to come back down, you know. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But I think that's it. What about SHIB? I haven't even looked at that in a while. Ooh, SHIB looks pretty good too. I mean, I like this the way it looks. You know, it looks like it could be a good bottom. So we have the 9. Let's see. We also have a 2-day 9, and we have a 3-day 9, and the 3-day 9 has a massive doji, a big doji on the 8. That is nice. That's a really nice looking 3-day chart right there, right? So, if we look at this from an overall perspective, let me turn that off. Let's turn the bull market support band on. You can see, right, we have 3 up, okay, and then we have 3 back down. So what happens next? We should get 5 or 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be a bigger ABC. And what could happen is that could be an extension of the retrace. So we have 3, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That whole thing becomes 3, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, and then we go up. There's your B, and then we come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a C, and then we go completely crazy later on. And what that will do is it'll develop a very strong base, right? Or we could just have this be a 1, 2, 1, 2, A, B, C, and then we go up for our new bull run here. But, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. ICP should be on a 9. Yep, look at that. So if you look at these candles, see how it came down in 3 waves, and then also you had a very sharp move down, and then after that you have these wicks, and now you have these dojis. That tells me that the sellers are exhausted. The shorts are exhausted. People are taking profits from their shorts. They're getting out, right? So now we want to see the bull step up. And sure enough, we have a 3-day 9 buy. Perfection, right? So, yeah, I think things, this week should be still recovery week, right? This week should just be consolidating, recovering, building structure, building a base. You can see we're building a base. Maybe we have to come down and hit the lows again. Maybe develop a bigger base, right? But then eventually, maybe towards the end of the month, we start to come back, roaring back to the upside. Because we still have the bull market support band that we have to get back above. You know what I mean? So if we zoom out a little bit, you could see very clearly we have a 3-wave move now, right? You can see the bull market support band coming down. So we want to get back up. We want to flag out. We want to break that above. We want the bull market support band to wrap around, maybe even retest it and then go for it. So we'll see how that plays out. CFX is coming back. See, that's a pretty big bounce there, back to the top of the range. So, and Bitcoin dominance. Let's see what Bitcoin dominance looks good. It's coming down. That's what we want. We want Bitcoin dominance to crash and burn and die so that we can all be rich. Okay? So, yeah, we have a big crash. We have a 3-wave pullback that took the high. This looks like a flat to me, right? We got sharply rejected here. It wasn't a sustained breakout. It was a fake out, right? Because anytime you have 3 waves and you break the top with a rejection wick, that tells me we're probably going to come back down in 3. And if we do come back down in 3, that means the alts should do better than Bitcoin. So, how's Theta Fuel doing? Oh, look at Theta Fuel. Theta Fuel had a little pop. Look at that. We had a nice little consolidation. We had a big pop here. Maybe we flag out a little bit, and then we keep ripping higher. Because Theta Fuel, from a technical perspective, still looks really, really good. The reason why is because it has 3 waves up, and it has 3 waves down. So you have 3 up, 3 down. What comes next? Well, we should expect 5 up. Boom, 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 to get that bigger 3-wave move. So I think it looks beautiful, Theta Fuel. And then also, we have here, you can see very clearly, we have 3 up, and then we also have 3 down, right there. So even on the bigger time frames, it's pretty bullish. So we develop a little bit of a base, and then we start going back for the retrace levels back up here sometime in the future. So anyways, hit the like button. I'm over an hour. Kills the algos. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys doing good and not financial advice. And drop a comment. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.